yesterday we were given the blockbuster trade that shocked the world for this one. Maybe some people weren't so surprised with it, but a ton of people were just stunned by the move what Kansas City did. The Chiefs have sent All-Pro corner Trent McDuffie to the Los Angeles Rams. In return, they received the 29th overall pick, a 5th, a 6th round pick as well in this year's draft, on top of the 3rd round pick in 2027. To keep note, the Rams do keep the 13th overall pick. Unlikely they're going to have to give that up, or the Chiefs were asking for that. Maybe they did slightly, but again, out of the question, no doubt. But something to note too, that the Rams still keep the 13th overall pick and give up their original 1st round pick. They're keeping the Falcons' 1st round, and this is quite a move here. I mean, I have listened to some Chiefs fans, at least the one I always go towards, to get a grasp of just the Chiefs circle and stuff like that, and what's the pulse of what's going on there. And for him, no question, like he said that the one person I listens to, that they are up, sad to see him go. He's a fantastic player, one of the best players on the roster. Obviously, you see that his resume speaks for itself. All-Pro corner, one of the best young players at that position, and certainly one of the best players on the team there. If you want to say 2nd best, 3rd best, outside, behind Patrick Mahomes, if you want to throw still Chris Jones in the mix there. But this was a tough decision because you look at, for Trent McDuffie, he is coming on, up for a contract. He is on a 5th-year option. You go to the Rams here on this one, his 5th-year option is $13.6 million, and no doubt he is going to get paid by the Los Angeles Rams here, and showing you where it could be on average. You look at the top of the list here. Ahmad Gardner is 30.1. Derek Stingley is not that far behind at 30 million even. J.C. Horn at 25, and you have Patrick Surtain at 24 million. So there's no question that he is going to be third highest above J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain. Would not surprise me at all if he hits 30 million and be the 3rd corner in the NFL to reach that number. That's how you feel. If you feel it's the best decision to pay him that, if you feel he's more of just a slot corner, inside corner as opposed to a boundary, even though he can play both, how do you view it as that some people kind of push back with the money, saying he's not worth it? It's better to get rid of him. He's going to make that money. Certainly top dollar, top 3, no question about that. It's just the way the market goes for any position, at least. Someone's always trying to be the highest paid, and it really shocked me if he was the highest paid corner on a average yearly basis. No, not really. I wouldn't be surprised if he passed Ahmad Gardner at 30.1 and got 30.2 or 30 and a half, whatever it may be, but it's just the going rate. So someone's always going to pass that number, or someone's going to be at least up there with those guys. So I do project probably $30 million, at least top 3 in that mix there, between worst case, I mean, not even below 25, but certainly more so the $30 million range. And it's something that the Chiefs, that, they, unfortunately, it was maybe a tough pill to swallow, to bite the bullet here and get rid of a guy that's that talented that they found late in the 1st round when they did trade up to get him. But you look at the cap hits here. I mean, one thing that I have to really look at is Chris Jones. He has a $44.8 million cap hit, which is massive. He's a fantastic player, no question about that. One of the best interior defensive linemen we've seen in last few years, however you want to go back, and as far as since he's been in the league per se. But it's rough. 44.8 million it's a rough cap number. They did get under the cap there. If you go back real quick there, with the help of Patrick Mahomes restructuring his contract, they're at 22.9 million, 13th in the NFL with that one. But still, that is a notable cap that they're gonna have to try and play around with. Now, I do have a potential out excuse me, after 2026, where they only accumulate a $19.5 million dead cap. Look for that to be the potential out. And I've seen some people on the radio on the way to work when I was kind of listening to this yesterday, that why didn't they get rid of Chris Jones? This is the obvious pick here. It's not that easy to say, it's not easy just to look at the cap and get rid of him. Yes, it's a big number and you might get scared at first, but Chris Jones is massive to the defensive line. If you get rid of him, that defensive line falls apart immensely. He is the reason why it is as good as it is, respectable in years past. It's because of Chris Jones. He sets a tone. He sets the standard for that, especially the interior pressure he brings to the table there. If you just get rid of Chris Jones and you have no replacement at all, and it's going to be tough to replace a guy of that caliber, that's going to be some serious problems for that defensive side. And there's going to be huge backlash if they do that and they can't fix that. That is something that's people are going to pinpoint in a wasted season. Now, it could be a wasted season to begin with because of Patrick Mahomes. We don't know the timetable yet of when he's going to return, or if he's going to miss all of next season. Depending on how things go, we don't know about that. But I think right now that's tough to say. Again, the cap hit is immense with that 44.8. But if the Chiefs organization feels like they can compete next year, that's tough. I don't think the team is built yet to have a person step up in his absence to do so. Now, could they? Yes, they could find someone in the draft if they need to, with the extra first round pick or whatever route they want to go towards with that. But I think you want to have someone in the back there slowly progressing, and then inevitably, if you want to use the potential out in 2027, then you have someone step up there, and it's a lot easier. But I think it's tough to say, well, I rather, it's easy to pick Chris Jones over Trent McDuffie. I don't really see the case of that. Patrick Mahomes, of course, with his cap hit and this restructuring, 34.6, Trey Smith 24.4, Nick Bolton 19.2, might be a little bit controversial with that one too. But just the way the other contracts have been given out, it is another huge cap hit that maybe the Chiefs don't want to do. But they'd love to have a guy like that. Yes, again, fantastic player, all-pro player. Again, hit a home run in that selection there back in 2021. But for their perspective, they rather take that Tyreek Hill. And that was the person that Chiefs fan I was listening to was having a similar comparison to. And it makes complete sense. Another Tyreek Hill type of trade where you get rid of an amazing player at that position in the NFL, and you kind of criticize it. Oh, well, it's over. They're going to take a step back. The offense is going to be worse with Tyreek Hill being gone, and they go to three straight Super Bowls, win back to back. You look at Trent McDuffie, one of the top corners in the league. If you want to say top 5, top 3, top 5, however you want to put it as top 10, however you rank Trent McDuffie as, certainly one of the best corners in the league. What are they doing? They have no one else in the secondary. What are they going to do about it? Well, you saw what they did with Tyreek Hill. They got the draft picks. If you feel it was enough of a haul in return for both those guys, again, that could be a different discussion for that. I'll get into a second. But they're going to use those draft picks, replenish, get younger, cheaper contracts, and be back where they are. It is pressure for those organizations to hit on those draft picks and try and replace Trent McDuffie. We've seen the struggles of them trying to replace Tyreek Hill. Again, they've had success in his absence and have found ways to win without him. But you still see them chasing the next Tyreek Hill. And maybe he comes back with him being a free agent. Maybe we see the return of him. But you see picks of like Rashee Rice, who was a good pick, but certainly injury and off-the-field issues is controversial, but still a good pick there. You look at Xavier Worthy, who is a up and down player, has high potential with his speed, but is a little disappointing, a little lackluster thus far in 2 seasons of how he's been utilized thus far in the stats he's put up there. You have Marquise Brown and so forth. You go on the list, other speedsters they brought in, they've tried to replicate and trying to find the next Tyreek Hill, and it hasn't panned out. It hasn't. So would I be surprised if they struggle a little bit trying to find the next Trent McDuffie? Yes, but I don't think you have to have the next Trent McDuffie in order for this defense to be better and to sustain itself and build off of the problems, or kind of fix the problems they had this past year. If you can get people who are half of Trent McDuffie, that are still good players that can play their roles on cheaper contracts, and you can send money elsewhere and fix multiple positions, that is better than throwing $30 million at Trent McDuffie, and then you're kind of sitting there, well, we have no money to find a Chris Jones replacement if we have to, or someone else in linebacking, or the secondary, or whatever you want, the offensive line, however you want to view it as. So again, initial reactions to jump out and saying, what are the Chiefs doing? Why is this a horrible trade? Or this is a horrible trade. Why they do this? I get it, and I'm not saying I'm not the biggest fan of the trade. I'm a little surprised they would move off of him. But again, when you look at the numbers and you're looking at projecting on this, his 5th-year option he's playing on this upcoming season, the money he's probably gonna be asking for, they felt like that it's not possible. And could they play the long game, franchise tag him, and go that route and drag it out? Yes, but it could it can make things ugly, make things worse in that situation. There, do you really want to deal with that? Who knows with that situation? And maybe they kind of regret some other contracts they've given out. Where if they didn't give out contracts to other said players, they would have the money to maybe pay Trent McDuffie at this point here. But they gotta live with that, the cap space and where they're at right now, the decisions they've made. And they feel like this is the best moving forward for them. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's an F. It's a horrible decision. I'm not in love with it, but I understand the perspective of the Chiefs and why they did it. I understand that. It's tough to let go of. It's tough to let go of any player of that caliber of Trent McDuffie and his resume and what he's done for the Chiefs. But again, for the financial standpoint, they're going to go the Tyreek Hill route. Try and use the money that they save from not paying McDuffie, potentially, again, $30+ million a year on a 4-year contract, and use that draft picks to rebuild that secondary or other aspects that they wouldn't be able to if they mortgage that money towards McDuffie. So now looking at it from the Rams' perspective, again, going back to what they gave up for Trent McDuffie in this one, again, the 29th overall pick, a 5th, a 6th, and a 3rd round pick in 2027. And again, to note, kept the 13th overall pick, but like I said, that was out of the question. There was no way that the Chiefs were going to get a high first round pick like that from any team in return for McDuffie. But for the Rams, I mean, this is their MO. This is for the longest time. They haven't done it too much the last couple of years. They've actually been using their first round picks. But for the bulk portion of McVay's era there, it's been constantly throwing out first round picks. I mean, you saw, you look at corners, at least, Marcus Peters. You look at Jalen Ramsey. You look at now Trent McDuffie in this one. They have no issue with that because of, after the Super Bowl, what screwed the picks. And it has worked out. They've gone to 2 Super Bowls. They've won one. They had one rebuilding year where mostly it was just injuries that kind of derailed their season. Now they're back where they are. They were a close it was a close game in the conference championship, maybe a few plays away from going back to the Super Bowl and probably being the Patriots. And we're talking about maybe the Rams again winning a second Super Bowl. Talking about Matthew Stafford's legacy, McVay's legacy, all this. We talk about probably brave about the Rams and what their standard is for what they've done. They've bounced back. They are back to being where they were when they won the Super Bowl. They had it. They have a couple of down seasons, again, one bad season because of the injury, but they are back on top there. They have done an amazing job hitting on their draft picks, the contracts, and so forth. They're in a prime position to win now again. And Trent McDuffie adds that star-studded talent in that secondary. So I have no issue with what they gave up there. You still have the 13th overall pick to add another difference maker, another playmaker on that side, wherever they want to go on the defensive side again. Or I would presume it's going to be on the defensive side because I really don't see running back, they're fine. Wide receiver, they're fine. Maybe offensive line if they want to go that route. But I mean, even quarterback, I doubt they want to use a 13th overall pick on a Ty Simpson or something like that to develop. I doubt they would do that. So it's going to be, again, another high capital of first round pick on that defensive side on top of adding Trent McDuffie there. So again, to me, I have no issue with what they gave up there. 5th and 6th, who cares? Who cares at that point? Yes, could they hit on those picks like they've done on other good players in previous seasons or previous drafts? Yes. But for a 5th and 6th round pick to add in there for 2026, who cares? Who cares at this point here? You get a all-pro corner in McDuffie. Who cares if you got to throw a mid-round picks there on top of a 29th overall pick? That's okay. And the 3rd round pick in 2027, have no issue with that at all there. So for me, for myself, I look at it as a situation where it's not this clear cut. Rams won it, the Chiefs won it. I would say I love the Rams' perspective. I love them being aggressive. They've been a well-ran organization, how they've handled things and how they've done things. And again, it's another part of their history with going after a corner, especially a elite corner, like again for years ago with Jalen Ramsey that helped them win the Super Bowl. Trent McDuffie can certainly have the possibility of helping them get to another Super Bowl and potentially winning one. So I have no issue with the Rams throwing the picks there, screwing it, and going all out there. Now, of course, with that, they're going to have to, like I talked about for the Chiefs, I constantly kept saying, they're going to have to give out the money, probably $30 million to say the least in there, or maybe, dare I say, reset the market of being the highest paid corner per year on average, which, again, we can kind of talk about that and whether it's a smart move for long term, but again, how this franchise drafts and how they manage things, it's at the end of the world. Yes, could it bite them down the road potentially and kind of things fall apart with you? You're not sure about Matthew Stafford in a few years or this or that. Yes, you have to also handle a big contract in with Puka Nacua and Verse and so forth down the line. But again, this is a team that in any situation, if I had to put any GM in the spot here, any front office, the Rams would be at the top of the list to figure this out, and I have complete faith in them that they will navigate this when that time comes. But as a win now situation, trying to maximize the most you have left in Matthew Stafford, where it's another year or two, or dare I say 3 years, who knows at this point. Feels like there's a bunch of quarterbacks getting to their point of playing age 40, if he so chooses to play at age 40 at that point there. But again, at least another year or two left with Stafford here. I mean, still at a high level, just won the MVP, first team All-Pro. So there is still a lot left in the tank for him to showcase for the Rams and to again keep this team in position to be a Super Bowl caliber roster and a team, no doubt, to rival, to challenge that. And McDuffie is is a great pickup. I can't rave it enough. But again, I think overall this is I I could see the win from both perspectives. Obviously, you see me gushing over the Rams side of things, but for the Chiefs perspective, for the financial, from the number standpoint, and how they've handled the Tyreek Hill trade and use that to build off of that and kind of retool defense and kind of switch the calling card, or the driving force of this team, where it was, a lethal, high-flying offense that was the face of the team versus really the defense. I think the last few years being the face of that, where the offense has struggled the last couple seasons, notably this past year, of course, but the defense has really been the face of that and the driving force of them getting to those Super Bowls and winning it. So they kind of flipped it on its head, going from a high-powered offense to a great defense. And again, the Chiefs, for this one, will they find someone that's going to be the next Trent McDuffie? You never know, but like the Tyreek Hill trade, unlikely. But you don't need to hit on a guy like that. You just need to hit on multiple players that are good enough to do their job and fit their role, and be on much cheaper contracts and younger that will balance it out all across the board. So for me, again, I will favor the Rams in this trade here. I will say they are the winners of it, but this is not, again, me bashing the Chiefs here. It's not that much more of a win for the Rams. Again, I understand for the financial standpoint, a number standpoint for the Chiefs there. I'm not bashing them. I completely understand why they would go in this direction for Trent McDuffie. So again, I think overall, at the worst case, I say it's a win on both sides. I understand the perspectives for both teams and what they did there, but we'll see how it plays out here. Excited to see how McDuffie plays in 2026 for the Rams, and especially, kind of projecting farther down the road. I don't know if they'll get a deal done this offseason to extend them, or they'll wait till next season to get a contract done. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle things the rest of the offseason for him, and just more so just seeing how he plays in 2026 and how they utilize him from that standpoint, as well as the Chiefs, to see what they do with the draft picks and the money that they save, who they put in place there in the secondary, and how they build this roster moving forward for 2026. Again, don't know the status yet of Patrick Mahomes, if he's going to be healthy right away, or he's going to miss a few games, or if they kind of just wipe their hands and say, you know what, it's a lost cause. Let's wait for Mahomes to be healthy. Let's have him sit another year and wait until 2027, where everything is much better built overall for the team. We'll see what happens for the rest of the offseason and how things play out with that.